Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that your financial life is finally under control. Imagine the feeling of opening your bank application and seeing not a draining abyss of debts, but a solid foundation that grows, slowly and consistently, day after day. This is not a fairy tale. This is the mathematical certainty of compound interest applied to your habits and your money. Today, we are going to dive deep into the mind of the man known as the Oracle of Omaha. We are talking about Warren Edward Buffett. Born in Omaha on August 30, 1930, he is not just an American investor and philanthropist. He is the living proof that patience pays off more than adrenaline. As the chairman and largest shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett has consistently ranked among the wealthiest people in the world, taking the top spot in 2008. But the billions of dollars he manages are not the result of magic tricks or high-speed trading algorithms. They are the result of a philosophy that says you do not need to be a genius to get rich. You just need a framework and the emotional discipline to stick to it. Most people think that to become wealthy, they need to hit the lottery or invent the next big technology company. They look for the quick fix, the explosion of wealth that happens overnight. But Warren Buffett teaches us the exact opposite. He teaches us the power of the 1%. The concept is simple but revolutionary when applied correctly. If you improve just 1% every single day, by the end of a year, you are not just 365% better. You are 37 times better because of the compounding effect. This applies to your knowledge, your health, and most critically, your money. But why is it so hard for us to accept this? Why do we rush? Why do we lose money trying to get rich quick? The answer lies in our biology. We are wired for immediate gratification. When you see a new car, a new phone, or a risky investment that promises to double your money in a week, your brain releases dopamine. It feels good. It feels exciting. But investing, true investing, should be boring. Buffett famously said that if you want excitement, take $800 and go to Las Vegas. Investing is about watching paint dry or watching grass grow. If you want excitement, you are gambling, not investing. Let us break down the first major mental block that keeps the majority of the population poor or stuck in the middle class. It is the fear of missing out, combined with a lack of emotional control. Science tells us that the pain of losing money is psychologically twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. This is called loss aversion. When the market drops or when an emergency happens, people panic. They sell at the bottom and buy at the top. Buffett does the opposite. He says to be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. This sounds like a catchy phrase, but implementing it requires a rewiring of your brain. You must detach your emotions from your wallet. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you bought something you did not need just to impress people you do not even like? That is money leaving your potential future wealth and disappearing forever. Every dollar you spend today is a soldier you are sending away instead of recruiting it to fight for your financial freedom. Before we continue to the specific steps of how to apply the 1% rule to your wallet, I have a small request that can change the trajectory of this channel and help more people find this wisdom. If you are finding value in this content, if you want to master your finances and understand the psychology of wealth, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. It takes you less than 2 seconds, but it tells the algorithm that this content is valuable and worth sharing. By subscribing, you are joining a community of people dedicated to growing 1% every day. Thank you for your support. Now, let us get back to the method. One of the most profound concepts Buffett teaches is the difference between price and value. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. This applies to stocks, but it also applies to your daily life. When you buy a pair of shoes for $200, the price is $200. But what is the value? If those shoes last you 5 years and keep your feet healthy, the value is high. If they sit in your closet and you never wear them, the value is $0. You just burned $200. To grow 1% financially every day, you must become an expert at assessing value. You must stop looking at the price tag as the only indicator. In the stock market, people buy things just because the price is going up. That is speculation. An investor looks at the business. Does it have a competitive advantage? Is it durable? Do you understand it? This brings us to the concept of the circle of competence. Buffett insists that you only invest in what you understand. You do not need to be an expert on everything. You just need to know the boundaries of what you know and what you do not know. If you do not understand cryptocurrency, or biotechnology, or real estate derivatives, do not put your money there just because someone else claims to be making millions. Stay within your circle. Widening that circle takes time and study, which is part of your daily 1% growth in knowledge. Let us talk about the two most important rules of Warren Buffett. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. This might sound like a joke, but it is the cornerstone of capital preservation. If you have $1,000 and you lose 50%, you now have $500. To get back to $1,000, you need to make a profit of 100% on your remaining $500. It is mathematically much harder to recover from a loss than it is to grow from a stable base. This is why avoiding stupid mistakes is more important than being brilliant. You do not need to be smarter than the rest. You just need to be more disciplined than the rest. In a world full of noise, endless notifications, and constant pressure to consume, discipline is your superpower. Research in psychology, specifically the famous marshmallow test, showed that children who could delay gratification for a greater reward later ended up being more successful in life. Investing is the ultimate marshmallow test. Can you abstain from spending that $1,000 today on a vacation so that it can become $10,000 in 20 years? That is the question you must ask yourself every time you open your wallet. Now, how do we apply this practically in a modern world where inflation is eating away at our purchasing power? We need to talk about the asset of yourself. Buffett often says that the best investment you can make is in yourself. Inflation cannot take away your talent or your earning power. If you are the best at what you do, you will always command a share of the economy's production. So growing 1% a day also means reading more, learning a new skill, becoming better at your job. This increases your income. And what do you do with that income? You do not upgrade your lifestyle immediately. This is the trap called lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, so you get a better car. You get a bonus, so you move to a bigger apartment. This keeps you on the hamster wheel, running faster but going nowhere. Instead, you should keep your lifestyle stable and invest the difference. This gap between what you earn and what you spend is your freedom margin. The wider this margin, the faster you reach independence. Let me propose a challenge to you. We will call it the Auditor Challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to track every single penny that leaves your pocket. I do not care if it is 5 cents or $5,000. Write it down. Use a notebook or an application on your phone. Do not judge yourself, just observe. At the end of the week, look at that list. You will be shocked to see how much money is leaking through holes you did not even know existed. Subscriptions you do not use, fees you did not notice, impulse buys at the checkout counter. This awareness is the first step to closing the leaks. Remember, you cannot manage what you do not measure. By simply observing your money, you will naturally start to be more careful. This is the beginning of the mindfulness of wealth. You are bringing consciousness to an area of your life that was running on autopilot. We also need to address the social pressure. We live in a society that judges success by material visibility. If you drive a luxury car, people think you are rich. But wealth is what you do not see. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the watches not worn. Wealth is financial assets that have not yet been converted into the stuff you see. This is a very difficult psychological hurdle. We want to show we are doing well. We want the validation of our peers. But would you rather look rich or actually be rich? Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He drives a modest car. He eats at McDonald's. He does not need to prove anything to anyone. His scorecard is internal. When you shift your scorecard from external validation to internal goals, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable because marketing no longer works on you. You become immune to the shiny objects that distract the masses. Let us deepen our understanding of time. Time is the friend of the wonderful business and the enemy of the mediocre one. It is also the best friend of the young investor. If you are 20 years old, every dollar you invest has decades to compound. If you are 50 years old, you have less time, but you likely have more capital. The strategy changes, but the principle remains. Start now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Do not lament the time you lost. Do not regret the mistakes of the past. Regret is a wasted emotion in finance. It pays no dividends. Take the lesson, leave the pain, and move forward. Today is day one of your new financial life. The stock market is simply a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Are you patient? Can you sit on your hands and do nothing when everyone else is running around screaming? Inactivity is an intelligent behavior in investing. Activity is often the enemy of returns. The more you trade, the more you pay in taxes and fees, and the more likely you are to make an emotional error. Consider the concept of the moat. In medieval times, a castle had a moat around it, filled with water and crocodiles to protect it from enemies. In business, a moat is a competitive advantage that protects a company from competitors. It could be a strong brand, like Coca-Cola. It could be a network effect, like a social media platform. It could be being the low-cost producer. When you look for investments, or even when you look at your own career, ask yourself, what is the moat? What protects this income stream? If there is no moat, the competition will eventually come and erode the profits. You want to build a personal financial fortress with a wide and deep moat. This means diversifying your income, having an emergency fund, and owning assets that produce cash flow while you sleep. If you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That is a harsh reality, but it is true. The goal is to decouple your time from your money. Another fascinating aspect of Buffett's wisdom is his view on honesty and reputation. He says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you will do things differently. In the financial world, trust is the currency of the realm. If people trust you, they will do business with you. They will lend you money. They will offer you opportunities. If you cut corners, if you try to cheat the system, you might win in the short term, but you will lose in the long run. Ethical behavior is a long-term profit strategy. Being honest, transparent, and fair attracts high-quality people and high-quality deals. So, as you grow your 1% daily, ensure that your character is growing alongside your bank account. Money without character is a tragedy waiting to happen. We have all seen the stories of lottery winners who lost everything, or corrupt executives who ended up in jail. Their character could not support their capital. Let's talk about the specific mechanics of compounding again, because our brains are not built to understand exponential growth intuitively. If I asked you to fold a piece of paper in half 42 times, how thick would it be? Most people would guess a few feet, maybe a tall building. The answer is that it would reach the moon. That is the power of doubling. While you may not double your money every day, the curve of growth starts flat. It stays flat for a long time. This is the valley of disappointment. This is where most people quit. They save for 6 months, see only a small return, and say, this does not work. They withdraw the money and buy a television. They quit right before the curve starts to shoot upward. You must have the vision to see the forest when you are holding only a single seed. You must have the faith in the process. The 1% improvement you make today, reading that financial article, saving that $5, avoiding that debt, will not show up in your life tomorrow. It might not show up next month, but in 10 years, it will be the difference between poverty and abundance. Now, let us integrate the scientific perspective on happiness. Studies show that beyond a certain level of income, enough to cover basic needs and have some security, more money does not equate to significantly more happiness. However, the lack of money, the stress of debt, and the inability to handle emergencies are massive sources of unhappiness and mental health issues. So the goal of wealth is not necessarily to buy happiness, but to remove the causes of misery. It is to buy freedom. Freedom to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. Buffett taps dances to work every day, not because he needs more money, but because he loves what he does. That is the ultimate goal. Financial independence gives you the power to choose work that fulfills you, rather than work you are forced to do just to survive. When you view money as a tool for liberation, rather than a tool for status, your relationship with it becomes healthy. You stop fearing it and start mastering it. We must also address the concept of risk. Risk comes from not knowing what you are doing. The more you learn, the less risky investing becomes. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. If you know how to analyze businesses, you do not need to own 500 stocks. You can own 10 wonderful businesses. But for the average person who does not have the time or interest to analyze balance sheets, the best path is often index funds. Betting on the entire economy of a productive nation over a long period, this is what Buffett recommends for the non-professional investor. It is boring, it is simple, and it beats the vast majority of hedge fund managers who charge high fees. By buying a low-cost index fund consistently, dollar cost averaging every month, regardless of whether the market is up or down, you are guaranteeing that you will capture the growth of human productivity over time. You are betting on human ingenuity. You are betting that tomorrow, people will wake up and try to improve their lives, creating value in the process. That is a very safe bet to make. Think about the power of habits. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Your financial situation today is simply the lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is the lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is the lagging measure of your learning habits. If you want to change the output, you must change the input. You cannot change your bank balance directly by staring at it. You can only change the habits that lead to it. The 1% rule is about micro habits. It is about automating your savings so you do not have to think about it. It is about setting up automatic transfers the day your paycheck hits. Pay yourself first. Most people pay the landlord, the credit card company, the utility company, the grocery store, and then, if there is anything left, they save. And usually, there is nothing left. You must flip this equation. Tax yourself first. Treat your savings like a bill that must be paid. If the government increased taxes, you would complain, but you would pay. Why can you not pay the tax for your future self? Your future self is depending on you. Do not let him or her down.